Super woke crowd, can you please calm the hell down? Because I think I can't help but feel that your heart's in the right place, but you are doing the work of Russians, all right? This is coming to us from NBC News. Russian documents reveal desire to sow racial discord and violence in the United States. The revelations come as U.S. intelligence agencies have warned of probable Russian meddling in the 2020 elections. Of course, because it's all Russia. This is written by Richard Engel, Kate Tinker, and Kenneth Werner. Okay, so really quickly, there's a lot of Russian words in here. I ain't about that life, okay? So I'll more than likely just break them down to their initials. Russians who were linked to interference in the 2016 U.S. election discussed ambitious plans to stoke unrest and even violence inside the United States as recently as 2018, according to documents reviewed by NBC News. The documents, communications between associations of YP, a Kremlin-linked oligarch indicted by Special Counsel Robert Mueller for previous influence operations against the U.S., laid out a new plot to manipulate and radicalize African Americans. It's always us! Oh my God. Ugh, it's so hard being black. The plan showed that YP's circle had sought to exploit racial tensions well beyond Russia's social media and misinformation efforts tied to the 2016 election. Like, we really do make soft targets, man. A whole lot of, that's the whole single mother thing, because it gets, gets them all riled up and in their emotions and not thinking clearly. The documents were obtained through the Dossier Center, a London-based investigative project funded by Russian opposition figure MK. NBC News has not independently verified the materials, but forensic analysis by the Dossier Center appeared to substantiate the communications. One document said that President Donald Trump's election had deepened conflicts in American society and suggested that, if successful, the Influence Project would undermine the country's territorial integrity and military and economic potential. Basically, when at the end of the episode of the Boondocks, there's a black president, Huey Freeman. The German asked Huey, he's like, well, what's wrong? What's so bad? And Huey says, yeah, this is the destruction of America, when talking about Obama's victory. And, I can't help but feel like this all kind of plays into it in a lot of ways. The revelations come as U.S. intelligence agencies have warned of probable Russian meddling in the 2020 election. The documents contain proposals for several ways to further exacerbate racial discord in the future, including a suggestion to recruit African Americans and transport them to camps in Africa for combat prep and training and sabotage. Those recruits would then be sent back to America to foment violence and work to establish a Pan-African state in the South, particularly in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Yeah, Pan-Africanism is nonsense, okay? It really is. Pan-Africanism was concocted by the United States government, along with Kwanzaa and all that other, get us back to Africa nonsense. It was all concocted by the government, basically to sow discord. And it's the exact same thing that they did to urban America, that they did to black communities in America. Just toss out this discord. Oh man, what do you mean you don't want to go back to Africa? I ain't never been to Africa. What are you talking about? Like the whole Karl Kani thing. I mean, it was real big back in the day. I remember when Malcolm X came out, everybody was rocking those big Africa, those woven African, trinkets and stuff. I'm just sitting there looking at them like, okay, all right, whatever. Oh man, there is no indication that the plan, which is light on details, was ever put into action, but it offers a fresh example of the mindset around Russian efforts to sow discord in the United States. Okay, so just so we're clear, just so me and you are clear, Russia didn't cost Hillary that election. Hillary cost Hillary that election, and that's how we ended up with Trump. Plain and simple. It's not that difficult. And I don't want you guys thinking that, oh yeah, he's trying to sow the Russian thing, but I do see this as a great opportunity to call out Pan-Africanism and the wokey woke crowd, because if this was implemented or if it wasn't implemented, either way, you're not helping anything. The blueprint, entitled Development Strategy of a Pan-African State on U.S. Territory, floated the idea of enlisting poor, formerly incarcerated African Americans who have experience in organized crime groups, as well as members of radical black movements for participation in civil disobedience actions. So, gang members and shiftless Negroes being shiftless Negroes, basically. Okay, cool. Yeah. Good luck getting that all organized. The goal was to destabilize the internal situation in the U.S. No, trust us, Russia. We did that great enough ourselves. Frank Figluz, I'm not even, double F, a former assistant director of counterintelligence at the FBI and a NBC News contributor who reviewed the document, said that they offer a warning to the United States. Regardless of whether or not these plans are an amateurish thought experiment, the fact that these people are talking about doing this should disturb Americans of all stripes, Figluz, whatever, said. The unfortunate reality is that we're seeing an adversary that will consider virtually anything to get what it wants. And if it means violence or splitting America along racial lines or eroding our trust in institutions, they'll do it. Okay, so check this out. Our institutions eroded our trust in the institutions. Our government eroded our trust in Russia didn't do it, okay? You did it because our government's been lying to us for, hell, in my case, the entirety of my life. The government had, seriously, from the drug war to, speeding signs, man, the sex ed, it's all been lies, tons of lies. So, you trying to blame Russia for something you did yourself. Some of the documents appear to have been sent by Jay, which is going to call him Jay, an employee of the Internet Research Agency, the St. Petersburg-based troll farm that played a key role in the 2016 Russian meddling campaign. Jay was one of the 13 Russians indicted by Mueller in February of 2018 for his role with the IRA. The plan was shared with MP, a Russian businessman, who then circulated more widely, according to communications reviewed by NBC News. Both Jay and MP have been linked to YP, a Russian catering magnate often described as Putin's chef. YP was also indicted by Mueller for funding the IRA, widely perceived as a Kremlin operative. He has been connected to a shadowy mercenary outfit known as the Wagner Group, whose guns for hire are reported to have been involved in Russian military operations in Syria and eastern Ukraine, according to U.S. military officials. That they actually sound pretty badass. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh man, I know you're trying to make them sound all shadowy and scary, but you just made them sound super badass. The Mueller report exposed how Russian trolls employed by associates of YP deliberately inflamed racial tension by spreading false and incendiary stories to African Americans via social media. Among the objectives was to suppress black turnout in the 2016 election. Another of the newly obtained documents is a map of the U.S. overlaid with information about African American population size in 7 southern states. Also included are the numbers of subscribers to websites and social media accounts that were set up by Russian trolls at the IRA to spread race-baiting rhetoric, the latter of which were later removed by the social media companies. This is apparently a map of, I guess, where they wanted their where the Russians wanted their Pan-African state in the world of vodka. Rep. Val Demings of Florida, who was briefed on the document, said they highlight how ongoing racial issues in the U.S. can be used in misinformation efforts. Fair point. Russia understands how critical the African-American vote is to determining the outcome of elections, said Demings, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee. And because we have not effectively dealt with racism as a country ourselves, I believe we made ourselves vulnerable to foreign powers like Russia to continue to try to undermine. But I can't help but feel like we did, on paper, we have. It's just a matter of practice. And, practice makes perfect, right? So, just let us keep getting it right. Stop going after all these damn laws, because as far as the law is concerned, we are equals. Now they're trying to push the whole LGBT thing, but that's for other videos. The document also discusses how to expand Russia's clout in the African continent and win business there. From arms sales to mining contracts, they outline propaganda efforts to target Africans and stir up negative opinions about Europe and the U.S. Cooking up elaborate interference schemes is standard practice within YP Circle, according to AS, an expert on Russian intelligence and author of The Red Web, a book on Russian information warfare. This is typical of the way YP and his team operate. right? AS said they come up with pitches, some of them very ambitious, and they discuss many possible ideas, and then send the pitches to the Kremlin to be authorized or rejected. It's their modus operandi. The idea of African American statehood has an intellectual precedent in Russia. During the early 20th century, communists in America proposed forming a black belt nation in the South. Some party members traveled to the Soviet Union for training. So, okay, there's precedent. Even though these kinds of initiatives from the Russians aren't new to us, what is new is the rapidity with which they can get this message out on social media and saturate the American consumer with these kinds of thoughts, said Double F, the former FBI official. That puts the Russian initiative on steroids and should scare us all. And ladies and gentlemen, that is another part. See, this type of conversation right here is exactly why they just did another adpocalypse. You know, this is another part of the reason for the adpocalypse, because it's like, oh my goodness, social media and the internet. Well, there's just too many ideas out there, and we're not thinking the way that they want us to think. And so thusly, you know, they're like, oh my goodness, well, we gotta shut this down. Lucky for me, I never made $1 off of YouTube. Say what? So it's all about the message over here, as opposed to, as opposed to, a lot of the other creators who did make legitimate lives for themselves off of their content and stuff like that, and the website, and to see them catch the L that they're catching now, I mean, it sucks, but this is a major part of it. So Pan-Africanism is nonsense. This is a part of the adpocalypse, just in case you didn't know. And and honestly, just quote unquote black people are just lemmings. Oh my goodness. So with that being said, that's the end of this video. Like it if you liked it, dislike it, I ain't scared. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice, share because sharing is caring, and speak. I mean, do you think that this is legit? How much credence do you put into the Russia investigation or the Russia interference? Because I just believe that all the Russians did point out things that we already because we do have blind spots in this country, but I don't see where the woke crowd is pointing towards anything congruative to a better future or a better tomorrow. So with that being said, till the next one.